Welcome to the Brew Crew Review Podcast, the show by fans for fans of your Milwaukee Brewers.
All right, Brewer fans, welcome to Brew Crew Review Podcast. Joining you tonight is myself, Craig, yours truly, and Scott. How are you doing, Scott?
Doing good. How about you?
All right. Vince and Chad, are they together somewhere? Neither of them are here, I know.
I think they were scouting for us in Sudan. So, we really comb, every nook and cranny on this big blue marble to try to find some, great new young players. And, sometimes you got to go to Sudan, I guess.
Scouting interns, I suppose. All right. Well,
Yeah.
Let's see. Do you remember what you predicted? What the Brewers would do in the past week, Scott?
I think I said 4-2, and I think that's what they were.
Yeah, I think I also picked that, right? 4-2. Was
Probably.
it?
Makes sense.
Vince said 5-1, or no? Vince is usually pretty pessimistic. I think he picked 3-3 or something. Whatever. So I mean, obviously, it was a little homestand here for the Brewers, and they took 2 of 3 from both the Braves and 2 of 3 from the Nationals. So overall, I guess successful week. But we'll talk about the road trip coming up here, which is going to be 11 games and 11 days against some pretty tough opponents. The Cardinals, Cubs, and the Padres are all coming up before the Brewers are home once again. So that's a little road trip coming. So we'll talk about that, including a makeup doubleheader against the Cubs on Memorial Day. So that should be interesting at Wrigley. That's makeup from the first rain out of the year for the first weekend. So that's all coming up. We'll talk about do our predictions for that later on. But let's talk about, I guess, the most pressing news. We're taping this on Sunday night, May 22nd, I believe. And Peralta, who I actually got to see pitch in person on Monday, his previous start against the Braves, and he pitched brilliantly. I think he had 7 innings pitched, 10 strikeouts, and no walks, I believe. Anyway, pretty phenomenal stuff from him. And unfortunately, today he had to leave after the 4th inning, I believe, with some shoulder issue. And I think it's the Brewers are officially putting him in the IL after the game today. So he's going to miss at least 1 start, most likely a couple of starts, and hopefully it's nothing long-term serious. I'm sure Aaron Ashby is slated to fill his spot in the rotation. I'm venture to guess. What are your thoughts on Peralta's brilliant outing against the Braves, and unfortunately him leaving the game early in his potential potential injury, I guess, Scott?
Well, any injury is going to be disappointing, obviously. But to lose one of our great pitchers for any amount of time is definitely a little bit of a blow. The good news is that there's still a very, very legitimate chance that this is not going to be something really, really major, which so many times in Brewer history, we would hear something like that. And, obviously we don't know. We're not prognosticators. In fact, I do have an anonymous source. I'll just call him TC. I guess I could call him T Carter, but he said that he thinks that Peralta will be back in a couple weeks. So let's hope that that's it. Now, obviously, he hasn't even gotten an MRI yet, so he's just kind of guessing. But he's usually right more often than not. So I'm going to take his opinion.
Yeah, maybe I'm hoping this is all a little bit precautionary. Obviously, it's somewhat still early in the season, and we've got to preserve. I mean, miss a start or two, it kind of cuts down his overall innings. but this could pretend to something more serious. You just never know. And hopefully with Freddie, it turns out to be that it'll be a short time off, and I'll be back helping the team sooner rather than later. So let's just hope for the best. Unfortunately, it comes with, next weekend we'll be in St. Louis for 4 games. So it would have been nice to have him available, but I'm sure the other guys will pick up the slack, and, guys are continuing their breakout-ish season. Like Eric Lauer has pitched pretty well again this week. So yeah, I'm not too concerned, I guess, but it is disheartening news, coming into this Sunday night. And then Willie Adames actually is still on the IL. In fact, I think last time we taped, he had just been injured, but the Birds were debating whether or not to put him on the IL or not. I think after a day or two, he was kind of listed as day to day. It looked like he wasn't ready to go yet. So he did go on the 10-day deal. And I think from everything I've heard, he should be able to come off when that 10 days is over. So he should be back this week. That kind of segues into the other segment I wanted to talk about. One of the highlights of this week, actually, in the homestand was, of course, our Wednesday game where we spotted Burns against Max Fried afternoon game at AmFam Field. I was looking forward to, checking on that one. Unfortunately, Burns spotted them a 4-0 lead, and with the run support that our team has given Burns in the recent memory, thought that one was all but over. However, the Brewers chipped away at their bullpen, and they took it into extra innings. And of course, with the ghost runner in second, extra innings, there was a lot of scoring going on. The Brewers, I actually had read this is the first time in Brewers history that they came back being down going into both the 9th inning, the 10th inning, and the 11th inning. They came back and they end up winning the game on a walk-off 2-run homer by Keston Hiura. So that was a pretty exciting moment of the week, and really cool to see Keston Hiura, who had just been recalled from AAA Nashville. Now, he was down in Nashville for only, I think, about a week or so. I think it was like 10 games or something like that. And he actually had 5 home runs in 10 games for Nashville before we called him back up. So that was kind of a well-deserved call up. But I think the injury to Adames and him actually going on the IL finally early in the week was what caused us to bring up Keston. So it kind of was a blessing in disguise, it turned out. With that being said, also to this week, Andrew McCutcheon came back off the COVID IL, and he is now back at DH mostly. And so I just wonder what your overall thoughts are on Keston Hiura, where he's trending, where he's going, and whether or not, what role will he fill for this team going forward, in your opinion?
Unfortunately, so let me put it this way. There's a lot of players on our team that can fill a lot of different holes because they can play a lot of different positions. Keston Hiura is not one of them. So we're talking about a guy who, can play second and, first. That's about it. And obviously now DH, I hate to say it, but, if it wasn't for the DH, I don't know how much playing time Keston would have at all. It's just kind of the way it is right now. But having said that, I think as long as we're going to have him up here, I think he's obviously going to play a little bit. But even with the Adames injury, I just did not see him as being an everyday player right now, especially with Urias coming back when he did. So, it's a tricky situation, I guess, because I want the guy to get regular at bats. When he gets regular at bats, he seems to play a little better, but then he goes in stretches where you just can't put him out there every day. So I don't know. We'll see what happens, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, so if we look at Keston Hiura, even coming up as a prospect, I mean, we draft him as second baseman. There was questions right out, even before we drafted him, that this guy is most likely possibly going to be a DH at some point of his major league career. And even second baseman, his defense was poor there. And then, of course, there was a talk moving him to first base when the opening was there. But with Rowdy Tellez, I think, solidifying an everyday spot, even as a left-hander, as a first baseman. I mean, obviously he's garnered that with his play so far this year. That kind of takes away first base in the option for Keston. And then you look at the DH McCutcheon. I mean, he can play the outfield sometimes, but most likely he's going to be penciled in every day at the DH spot. So those are two of the main spots Keston would have been able to take. Now, obviously, you're mentioning he can play second base too. Well, guess what, folks? Colton Wong is there, and even though he's also left-handed, I mean, you really I mean, he pretty much is an everyday player too against both righties and lefties. So what you're looking at is, if Keston stays at the major league level, like, where can you really even play him? I mean, I think that he would find sporadic at bats only against left-handers, most likely. And then obviously having like a power bat off the bench is always something nice, but I almost feel like that's, stagnant his development somewhat a little bit, because you think he needs every at bats kind of get back on track after his last two seasons. So it's tough, and that's where you see him go down to Nashville and just completely rake against that level of pitching, and you're like, oh, you want that offense back in your lineup. So unfortunately, because of his lack of versatility, and I think that they've experimented with him in the outfield, but again, it'd only be a corner outfield spot, and we got plenty of those also currently with the team. So I mean, I don't think he's even trusted out there defensively, to be quite honest. So yeah, there's really, unfortunately, because of his lack of versatility and his bat, which I'd say I don't have faith in his hitting right now, but I have a lot of hope that he will still become a borderline all-star with the bat, is what I had assumed that he had the potential to become. But with that being said, I mean, it just doesn't seem like he has a really solid role on this team going forward. So I think that he really will be that spot starter if he stays at the big club, or he'll just be a power bat off the bench, which is, a good thing to have for a contending team like the Brewers. But I still think that'll be tough on Keston to not get very much playing time, but I guess it is what it is.
Yeah, I kind of feel bad for him because, I mean, now don't get me wrong, he has obviously scuffled, the last year or two, but he's kind of, there's not a lot that he has left to prove at the AAA level. And so, I mean, the only reason why you want him down there at this point is, just to get him regular at bats. But I don't know. I mean, it's weird because Keston is one of the few players that really kind of goes against the whole like Stearns outlook of, just player versatility and being able to play anywhere on the diamond. And you can see here, like, it really hurts. Like, he doesn't have the ability to be able to play in those different spots. And that's, unfortunately, that keeps him off the field.
And what's really strange about that is it's the current Stearns regime, I'll call it, kind of MO to really value versatility in players. And so Keston is kind of that square peg in a round hole, so to speak, on this particular organization and this setup. So with that being said, I think that he seems like his teammates want him here, and that there is some thunder in the bat, so to speak. But it is frustrating in key spots, though. If he's coming off the bench as a pinch hitter, he's usually going to be in a key spot. And it's like, as a Brewer fan, that you still don't have a whole lot of confidence in that because of the holes that shown in his swings and especially if he's going to come off the bench, he's probably going to have like runners in scoring position or something like that, most likely. And like with his strike, he's been striking out. It's just really frustrating. But if he gets a hold of one, good things can happen. We saw that this week. So I don't know. We'll probably talk about this as we get closer to trade deadline, but I mean, he almost does seem to me like a change of scenery candidate, so to speak, because he just doesn't seem like he's got a role going forward with this team. I mean, obviously, maybe if Wong's tenure here comes to an end at some point, maybe Keston would take back over as an everyday second baseman, but I think Rowdy will have control over for a while. And, obviously we'd find a role for anyone who hits, but he's got to do that. So we'll see. So I mean, I would hate to call him a change of scenery candidate and just include him in a major trade at his current value, I guess, because I would just see that coming back to the Brewers to regret that at some point. So we'll see. Hopefully he becomes that all-star level still as a Milwaukee Brewer at some point.
Yeah, let's hope so. I mean, I understand. Like, I mean, I think it's got to be a little bit frustrating, but I mean, and when I think of change of scenery candidate, I always think of like, well, like to pull a Brewer reference, like a Gary Sheffield who didn't have a great attitude, didn't have great work ethic, and then like he just kind of sort of quit on the team to get traded, and he got traded, and then he turned into nearly triple crown worthy candidate. Like he was really good, and I don't think that that's going to happen with Keston here. I don't think I would say that would happen with anyone because the odds are so bad. But it's kind of more like the Willie Adames trade last year. Like he was playing, he was struggling a little bit, and they had other people that were playing better. So he became, I don't want to say disposable, but he became more valuable as a trade chip than anything else. And unfortunately, that might be the route that Keston Hiura winds up going. But who knows? I mean, what a great thing to have. Like to have enough depth that we can't get a guy like Keston Hiura on the field. Like that's a good thing. So we'll see.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, we should mention the Brewers still have a 3-game lead in the NL Central at this onset of this podcast, and this is a big week coming up for the Brewers, as I know that they have to play 3 games against the Padres and 4 games against the Cardinals coming up, all on the road. So this will be a pretty big week to kind of see where the Brewers stand. Before we talk about that, let's talk about Josh Hader is continuing his dominant season, still has yet to allow a run, a 0.00 ERA. He has saved all 15 save chances, which is a major league record at this point to start the season. So, I mean, is he?
Oh, we're in suspense. Is he what?
Okay.
Is he the best
Scott,
ever?
yeah, thanks for covering the dead air. My 4-year-old started playing my iPhone, and
Oh, nice. Just let him play with the iPhone. You can't break those things, right? Oh. Man.
okay. So anyway, Josh Hader. I mean, how valuable is he? The most valuable player on our team for 2022?
I don't know. I personally would rather have. I mean, I guess I'd say that Corbin Burns was probably more valuable, but again, I always look at it where I just see Josh Hader being so dominant, and I see a lot of opportunities that we don't necessarily use him, and I get it that it's a long season and we're really gonna make sure that he doesn't pitch, overexert himself and make sure he comes in the perfect situation and all that kind of stuff. But I don't know. I thought 3 years ago we were over this, where we didn't have the whole traditional closer thing, and I thought he was much more valuable then. Obviously, he's very valuable now. Anytime that you do your job as well as Josh Hader does, you're going to be extremely valuable. But, I mean, I don't know. I just think like 50 innings a year, 50, 60 innings a year, like I just wish we'd be getting a little bit more out of him. But maybe we're treating him a little bit more gingerly and making sure he stays healthy, because we don't have him that much longer. We only have him signed through the end of next year. So we'll see how that goes. I'm surprised that we haven't had any talks about extending him or anything like that yet, at least that I've heard. I don't think Pete Carter has heard anything either. So I don't know.
Yeah. No, I mean, I honestly think that not only is he the best closer in baseball right now, he's possibly one of the most dominant closers of all time. And the reason that's kind of sparked me bringing him up as part of this discussion is I was actually listening to some Brewer Talk radio here locally. I don't remember the station or whatever, but someone threw out, they were like, let's rank the best Brewer closers of all time. And the ranking they threw out there was Dan Plesac number 1, Raleigh Fingers number 2, and Josh Hader number 3. Just what are your thoughts on that ranking, Scott?
I think already I would put Josh Hader at number 1, but I would put Raleigh Fingers at number 2 because Raleigh Fingers was always like, I don't know if he still does, but at one point I think he led the league in like career most multi-inning saves, and to be able to even just get through the 7th, throw Raleigh Fingers out there for 2 innings, like that's extremely valuable. So yeah, I could see. I don't know. I guess I could see how people throw those names out there. I mean, obviously Raleigh Fingers is a Hall of Famer, and I just ranked Josh Hader ahead of him. So I don't know, but that's the way I'd rank him.
And that's Hader, Fingers, and then Plesac.
Yep.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. That's why when I heard the ranking, I was like, what the? I mean, and obviously, if it's going on pure numbers, was Dan Plesac still the Brewers' all-time saves leader with 130 saves? But I mean, you're not really looking at and I get the Raleigh Fingers possibly being ranked ahead of him just because Raleigh Fingers, as a member of the 1981 Milwaukee Brewers, was actually named not only the Cy Young Award winner, the MVP of the NL. I'm sorry, of the AL at the time. The AL, the Brewers were back in. So, I mean, that's a pretty ridiculous honor for a closer at the time. And he also led the major leagues as all-time saves leader for a better stretch of the 80s and 90s before he got surpassed by, I think the current leader is still Trevor Hoffman. But yeah, so I mean, saves were not as big of a thing back then, but I mean, those are some pretty big names, I guess, in the system. I would definitely rank Plesac third, even though he was awesome in his time with the Brewers in the 80s. But I mean, yeah, Josh Hader is. I mean, I can't name that many dominant closers that I'd rank ahead of Josh Hader. And again, he's not old enough to put up the numbers and the longevity of some of these guys or whatever, like Hoffman. But just from the sheer dominance standpoint, like I don't think that these guys struck the fear of other teams, because when you're playing the Milwaukee Brewers and you get to like the 7th inning and you're down a couple runs, I think it's very demoralizing to know that Josh Hader is waiting there at the back of the bullpen, because if you get to him, you're in deep trouble. And I think that Brewer fans don't see that because they're on the flip side of that. But I think they're very confident when Hader comes out as fans. But I mean, it's really intimidating presence to have out there in the bullpen when you're playing their team, and it can, I really think it has a major effect on other teams. And I really think obviously, I agree with you that Burns, coming off an NL Cy Young Award, is probably our most valuable player going into this season. But I mean, Josh Hader has got to be right up there with his presence at the back of the bullpen. And I know that we had talked about possibility of trading him and getting a haul of young players for him, but at this point, as contenders, I think we're gonna hold on to him this year and all of next year and hope for the best. And if like you mentioned, extension, that'd be great. But I think he's gonna have a nice payday with his next contract. So
yeah, I can't even imagine. And not only that, but like I really don't know. I mean, even if he is the best and most dominant reliever in this era, even if he wanted to say that, like, is this something where the Brewers can sink upwards of $20 million a year into, a closer. I mean, usually that's not something that we can do. So that's the part I guess I'm most worried about. And as important as it would be for him to, obviously to get another year out of him, like obviously the rest of this year and then all of next year, that'd be extremely important. But at the same time, like, I just hate the idea of when you are a smaller market and you have a player that dominant and you just let him go for not very much, like like just a comp pick. That's the part that is really going to bug me. But I don't know. I mean, it seems like he's always dangled out there like, let's see what people are going to offer for Josh Hader. And apparently he's never been traded. And it always seems like people aren't offering what he's worth. And so, if that's the case, great. Problem solved. We'll keep him.
Exactly. And like you said, like, I guess I've just always, it's been a foregone conclusion to me that Brewers would not probably, as a small market team, be able to or even be willing to extend him at the price he's going to cost, just because, especially now that I think Devin Williams is probably his heir apparent that's actually arbitration eligible through 2025 for 2 seasons beyond Hader. So I think that the Brewers would be completely comfortable going, next 2 seasons with Hader, their closer, with Devin Williams the next 2 seasons after that, and then beyond that they'll figure it out. But yeah, it would be great to keep him. But that's why I really think, and we've talked about this before, that trying to really hit up on the contending window where we still have a lot of these guys under team control, because as a small market team, the quality of the team that we have right now, we just will not be able to afford beyond the next couple seasons. So I think that the 2022 and 2022 season, huge go for it seasons for the Milwaukee Brewers, and it'll be an exciting time to be a fan, and that's why we appreciate our listeners tuning in. But yeah, the Brewers have been first place have made the playoffs 4 consecutive years. They won the division last year and are looking like they're the best team in the division this year. So it's a good time to be a Milwaukee Brewer fan, and we really need to go deep in the playoffs this year. And I think we're built to do that. So we shall see.
Yeah, that is definitely true. I mean, although we were built to go deep last year too, unfortunately, the playoffs can be a cruel mistress.
Exactly. Well, again, you just want as many opportunities as you can, and I think that the Brewers really, we'll see. I think that they'll put the team in place to really be able to be there to make a serious run again this year. So, all right, so let's just talk about this next upcoming weekend and predictions, Scott. So we travel to San Diego tonight, and we have 3 games set against the Padres. Unfortunately, I think the 3 pitchers we're going to have to face are Nick Martinez, Blake Snell, and Yu Darvish in the next 3 games. And then we have a 4-game series in St. Louis Thursday through Sunday before Memorial Day. So 7 games this week. What are your predictions?
Well, this is going to sound bad. I'm actually going to predict us to go 5-6. I know it sounds a little negative, but
Scott, there's only 7 games. Seven games.
What?
You said 5.
I thought we were doing 11 games. I thought we were going to do the whole thing.
Oh, sorry, no.
So just take the Cubs out of it.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to stand by my prediction of 5-6 in 7 games. No, I'll say. Let's see then. Okay, 3-4.
Okay.
I'm hoping we pull off a split with Cardinals and then lose 2-3 when we head out west. Seems to happen. I mean, obviously, being in the Midwest, we don't have to travel from one coast to the other, which is kind of a big benefit to us. But how many times have we seen us go out west and just get throttled? By teams like inferior Padres teams. Like, I just picture our offense at Petco, and I just see Cheerios. Just 0-0-0-0. Like, hopefully I'm wrong. I mean, obviously the offense has warmed up considerably since the first month of the year. But at the same time, Petco's a tough place to hit. And, you know, on the road, West Coast, Padres are actually good. Could be trouble. But yeah, that's what I'll say.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm gonna go 3 and 4. Also, I know back in like the 90s and 2000s that the Brewers, every time they had like even the 80s, I guess, they had a West Coast swing of like a 10-game West Coast swing. They would always do very, very poorly. I think that that trend has really changed over the last couple of years. And if I remember correctly, and you'll have to maybe have your interns look this up quick, Scott, but I'm pretty sure the Brewers went into San Diego and swept the series last year. And I think the Padres were just like, it was sometime around the same time last year. And the Padres were like thinking that they were going to really be a team that was a player in that NL West that included the 100 plus, eventually 100 plus winning Dodgers and Giants. And I think that the Brewers came right in and swept them right away. And I think that's when they really started to realize that maybe they weren't quite as good as they were hoping. But and the flip side of that, the Brewers were a really good team that came in there. So again, with our pitching, I think that I almost feel like that with our pitching, it almost feels like we're like losing streak proof, if that makes any sense. Like I really don't see us like going on some kind of 7-game losing streak, which I know teams have had ability in the past. I really think that we're really built to succeed. So I'm not too worried about, and again, I just don't like playing the Cardinals ever, home or away, but I feel that, you know, I want to win that series. I mean, more than anything, that's our, if the only 3 victories this week that I'm predicting come just against the Cardinals, that would be wonderful. So we shall see. But yeah, we'll both go with 3 and 4, but hopefully we're less than that. They can exceed our.
No, the April 3-game series against the Padres that you talked about, that was like one of the first series where we started to think, well, this team might be really good. Like this pitching staff is really starting to figure it out. We only gave up 3 runs in that series, I think. Well, I don't think. I mean, I just looked it up, so I wouldn't have been able to recall that. I don't even know what color shirt I have on right now, but I know I am wearing a shirt, so
it's good.
Yeah. You know.
I think I'm wearing pants.
No, that was no, but that was a great series for the Brewers last year. I certainly hope that they're able to do the same this year.
Yeah, absolutely. All right.
If we give up 3 runs in 3 games, there's a legitimate chance that we might win one of them.
Yeah, and it does seem like our bats are starting to heat up with the weather across the country or whatever. So usually the warmer weather brings a little bit better hitting, and so hopefully the Brewers can start to string some runs together. And even though they seem to really underperform on a game by game basis, we have had some offensive explosions here that put us in the top. I think it's on the top 10 in runs scored. Yeah. So overall, hopefully we can still eke it out. And again, it's okay if we only score 5 runs, if we're only giving up 3 runs because of our awesome bullpen. There's not too many worries on that front. So yeah,
that's true.
So unfortunately, I'm not going to be heading to any games this week. And Vince and Chad are in Sudan, and I know you're in Henderson, Nevada. So unfortunately, we'll have to tune in to the Brewers on the radio or television and taking some nice games here as we go into Memorial Day weekend. So, all right.
Oh yeah, this is another blackout series for me then.
Oh boy.
Pretty much. Yeah. I think I still have like 6 teams that are blackout games in Nevada, because Nevada, despite not having a baseball team, is apparently in 6 different MLB markets. It's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. MLB. Dumb.
Yep. So, all right. Sounds good. Well, you stay classy, West Dallas, and go Brewers.
Go Birds!